I, 38M, have been married to my wife, 35F. Let's call her Rachel, for 11 years. On the surface, we had what most would call a stable marriage. Two kids, a house in the suburbs, decent jobs. We weren't perfect, but we communicated, or so I thought. We laughed, we made plans, or again, so I thought. About a year ago, I started noticing subtle changes in Rachel. Nothing major, just small things. She suddenly got very interested in how she looked. New clothes, hours in front of the mirror, a gym membership that she never had interest in before. I was actually supportive at first. I thought she was just doing something for herself. Mid 30s crisis? Fine. I told her she looked amazing, and I meant it. Then she started locking her phone. That was new. She'd always been private, but this was different. If I walked into the room, the screen would dim immediately. She'd start sleeping with her phone under her pillow. I joked about it once. What, are you hiding a second husband in there? And she laughed, but it felt off. She also started going on solo drives just to clear her head. We've got two kids under 10. That was never a thing. But again, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe she needed time to herself. But now, looking back, that was when it started. She had reconnected with her ex-boyfriend from college, Jason, the one she used to talk about like he was a big mistake she learned from. Turns out Facebook is a hell of a drug. They had a casual chat that turned into an emotional connection, which turned into whatever the hell they were doing behind my back. I didn't know any of this at the time. I was still in the dark. I was still making her coffee every morning and putting gas in her car, still kissing her goodnight while she probably texted him under the covers. That was the beginning of the end. It wasn't some grand discovery, no dramatic lipstick on the collar moment. It was stupid, really. One Saturday morning, she was in the shower and left her phone on the nightstand. It buzzed repeatedly. Not just a few messages, but a lot of them, one after another. Curiosity got the better of me. I picked it up and saw the preview on the lock screen. Jason, last night was unbelievable. Yeah, I can't stop thinking about your body. I miss you already. My heart dropped. For a moment, I actually convinced myself it was a spam message, like one of those weird phishing scams. But then another came through. Jason, you're everything I ever wanted, Rachel. When are you telling your husband? My hands started shaking. I unlocked the phone. Yes, I knew her passcode. She'd never changed it. She probably thought I wouldn't dare look. Inside was a string of texts that made my stomach turn. Dozens of messages, photos, nudes, compliments, sex talk, plans, hotel names, coordinating lies. She had it all mapped out. And that's when I realized something even worse. This had been going on for months. I scrolled back and found messages from last Christmas when she had told me she was visiting her sister for a few days to help her through a breakup. Turns out she had spent the weekend in a cabin with Jason. I remember just sitting on the edge of the bed staring at her phone. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't even feel angry. Not yet. I just felt numb. Then I heard the shower stop. I panicked, tossed the phone back, and went to the kitchen like nothing happened. I didn't confront her. Not right away. I needed to process it. I needed a plan. So I played dumb. For a few more days, I pretended like everything was normal. I wanted to see how deep the rabbit hole went. I wanted to watch her lie to my face. It was a strange, painful game I was playing, but I wasn't ready to stop it yet. I couldn't take it anymore. I held it together for 4 more days. 4 days of pretending I didn't know, of eating dinner with her while she smiled at our kids and texted him under the table. 4 days of watching her lie with a straight face. Every kiss felt like poison. Every I love you was a punch to the gut. I finally snapped on a Thursday night. She said she was going out for drinks with coworkers, but I already knew she had no shift the next morning, and I saw the Uber receipt on her phone from the previous week. She'd gone to a cheap motel 15 minutes away, same one Jason had texted about. She was planning to meet him again. I waited until she was getting dressed. I sat on the bed holding her phone. Me, where are you really going, Rachel? She paused mid-mascara, turned to look at me in the mirror. What do you mean? You're not going out with coworkers. Said us you're meeting Jason. Her whole body froze. Then, instantly, she spun around and laughed. I'll never forget that laugh. Rachel, are you serious right now? You're being paranoid. Jason, I haven't talked to him in years. I read the texts. I saw the hotel info. I know everything. There was about 3 seconds of silence before she exploded. So you've been snooping through my phone? Are you serious? That's such a violation of privacy. You're controlling and toxic. That was her angle. She didn't apologize. She didn't even deny it anymore. She went on the attack, full hysteria. She called me insane, insecure, pathetic, told me if I actually paid attention, she wouldn't have needed to talk to anyone else, said she was unhappy for years and I just didn't notice. I told her she should have left me, not screwed around behind my back. Her response? Maybe I would have, but I didn't want to hurt the kids. The kids? The same kids she abandoned every time she sneaked off to sleep with another man? I couldn't believe it. The woman standing in front of me wasn't the woman I married. She was cold, defensive, completely detached from the reality of what she had done. I walked out of the room and told her I was done. No more pretending, no more gaslighting, no more lies. That was the night everything truly shattered. After I walked out that night, I sat in my car in the driveway for over an hour, just breathing, trying to convince myself that this was real, that my wife had cheated on me for months, and that the woman I thought I knew didn't exist anymore. I didn't cry right away. That didn't happen until later, when I went back inside and saw my daughter's stuffed animal on the couch. Something about that crushed me, the innocence. The fact that our family, the one I thought I was building, had been broken without me even realizing it. The next few days were hell. She stayed in the guest room, didn't apologize, didn't try to fix it. She just got meaner, more distant. One night she even screamed, "You act like I murdered someone. People cheat. Get over it." That phrase bounced around in my head for hours, as if what she did was some minor slip up, a casual betrayal, something you move past, like forgetting to take the trash out. I was furious. But more than anything, I was ashamed. Ashamed I hadn't seen it sooner. Ashamed I believed all her lies. Ashamed I trusted someone who clearly thought so little of me. I replayed everything, every dinner she missed, every time she smiled at me while texting him, every time she told me I was too sensitive or overthinking. She had made me feel guilty, even though she was the one cheating. And then came the worst wave of all, the sadness, the deep, hollow ache of knowing your marriage is over and there's nothing you can do to rewind time. I'd wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air, panic attacks slamming into me like trucks. I started sleeping on the couch, couldn't eat, couldn't work. I was walking around like a ghost. People at work noticed, friends noticed. I told them I was just tired. I couldn't bring myself to say the truth out loud yet. Even now, writing this, I still can't believe it happened. I still catch myself glancing at the door, expecting her to walk in and not be the person she turned into. But there's no going back now. It took me about 2 weeks of silent torture to finally make the decision. At first, I wanted to fix it. I know how insane that sounds now, but when you've spent over a decade building a life with someone, with kids, a house, shared memories, your first instinct isn't always to burn it all down. It's to salvage, to patch the hole, and hope the ship still floats. But Rachel, she wasn't interested in salvaging anything. After the confrontation, she never once said she was sorry. Not a single genuine apology. She doubled down on everything, blamed me for being boring, said I should have seen it coming, even had the audacity to call Jason her emotional soulmate. She said, and I quote, "I didn't mean to hurt you, but I deserve to feel alive again." That's when the final switch flipped in my head. It wasn't just the affair, it was who she became. Cold, arrogant, selfish. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger living in my house. So I met with a lawyer. I filed for divorce exactly 18 days after I read the messages. Clean, brutal, and fast. I told her during breakfast, calmly. She laughed at first, thinking I was bluffing. But when she saw the papers, she lost it, screamed, threw a plate, accused me of abandoning my family, said I was ruining the kids' lives, as if I had been sneaking around to motels with an old flame like some sleazy teenager. I told her I was done with her lies, done with her games, and done trying to love someone who clearly didn't respect me. The rest of that week was chaos. She begged, then threatened, then flipped again and said she never loved me to begin with. Classic manipulation. But I didn't flinch. I had made my decision. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. It's been 3 months since I filed for divorce. The paperwork is almost done. Custody arrangements are being negotiated. I've moved into a small apartment not far from the house, so I can still see my kids often. That's the only part that hurts. They didn't ask for this. They didn't deserve any of it. Rachel, for what it's worth, is still with Jason, at least for now. According to mutual friends, she's already started complaining about how he's not what she thought. Shocker. Turns out building a fantasy relationship on lies and nostalgia doesn't exactly create stability. She tried one last stunt a few weeks ago, showed up at my place drunk, crying, saying she messed everything up and she missed us. I told her I hope she found whatever it was she was looking for, and I shut the door. Done. I've started therapy. I'm working out more. I'm reconnecting with friends I lost touch with during the marriage. Slowly but surely, I'm learning how to breathe again. And you know what? I'm proud of myself. I was loyal, I was honest, I gave her every chance, and when I saw who she really was, I walked away. That strength, I didn't know I had it in me. So if you're reading this and you're stuck in a relationship where something feels off, trust your gut. Look past the excuses, pay attention to the patterns. And if someone cheats on you, leave. Don't waste your dignity begging for love from someone who's already thrown it away. You deserve better. I deserve better too. I thought the worst was behind me once I filed for divorce. I thought Rachel and I would go our separate ways, co parent like mature adults, and move on. I was dead wrong. About 2 weeks after the divorce filing, I got a call from my son's school. Apparently, Rachel forgot to pick him up twice in 1 week. When I called her to ask what was going on, she snapped, "Don't lecture me. I'm going through a lot right now." As if I wasn't cleaning up her mess while trying to hold our kids together. But it got worse. I found out through our daughter, no less, that Rachel had started bringing Jason around the kids without telling me, without asking me. Some guy they barely knew, suddenly sitting at the dinner table playing stepdad. I was livid. When I confronted her about it, she said, "Well, you don't live here anymore, so it's none of your business." That was the moment I realized she wasn't just careless. She was vindictive. She wanted to punish me for not crawling back, for having the spine to leave her after what she did. So I took it to court. My lawyer filed for an emergency custody hearing. I showed them texts, school records, everything I could to prove she wasn't acting in the kids' best interest. I didn't want to take them away from her completely. I just wanted to protect them. Rachel, of course, showed up to court all dressed up like she was auditioning for sainthood, cried crocodile tears, claimed I was trying to erase her from her kids' lives. But the judge saw through it. I was granted temporary primary custody while they reviewed the situation. Rachel screamed in the hallway like a banshee when the order was handed down, said I manipulated the system. No, Rachel, I just stopped letting you manipulate me. It didn't take long for Rachel to start cracking. The court ruling hit her harder than I expected. She'd always been in control of the house, the narrative, the emotional balance. Losing custody, even temporarily, knocked her ego flat. And instead of reflecting on what led to that point, she did what she always did: blame someone else, namely me. She started texting me nonstop, angry rants, bizarre accusations, even threats. One message said, "You're stealing my children because you couldn't handle being a man." Another, "I'll make sure they know the truth about you." I showed them all to my lawyer. Then she started showing up at random places. Once at my gym, another time at my work parking lot. Not to talk, just to stare, arms crossed, sunglasses on, like some bad soap opera villain. It was creepy. Jason wasn't much help either. Apparently, the soulmate started pulling away once real life responsibility crept in. He didn't sign up for courtroom drama and school pickups. He just wanted the thrill. And when the thrill wore off, so did he. I heard, again through mutual friends, that he ghosted her after an argument where she accused him of siding with my ex. The irony would have been hilarious if it wasn't so pathetic. She started unraveling quickly after that. Rachel's Instagram turned into a bizarre stream of attention-seeking posts. Long rants about toxic men, half-naked selfies with captions like "rebuilding myself," and even a passive-aggressive quote, "Some people only love you when they can control you." I broke free. One night, she showed up at my place again, unannounced, pounding on the door. When I opened it, she was drunk, slurring, stumbling. She tried to hug me, said she was just confused. and missed how things used to be. Then she started crying about how Jason never really loved her. I didn't say a word. I just stepped back inside and closed the door. She sat outside for 10 minutes sobbing before finally calling an Uber. I wish I could say I felt sorry for her, but mostly I felt relief. This part, this is the one that broke me the most. It's one thing to be betrayed. It's another thing entirely to watch your children, innocent, loving, completely unaware of adult poison, start to notice that something is wrong. My daughter is only 8, sweet, smart, too observant for her own good. One night while I was tucking her in, she looked at me with these big, worried eyes and asked, "Daddy, why does mommy cry all the time now? And why do you live in a different house?" I froze. Every parent says they'll never lie to their kids until you're in that moment, until you're staring into their little face, trying to figure out how to explain infidelity and betrayal without breaking their heart. I told her the soft truth. Mommy and daddy had some problems, grown up problems, and we decided it was better for everyone if we didn't live in the same house anymore. But we both love you more than anything. She nodded slowly, then whispered, "Okay." But she held my arm a little tighter that night. She didn't fall asleep until I did. My son, who's 10, started asking harder questions. "Is mom mad at you? Did you make her sad? Why does she say you're mean now?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him the truth, that his mother lied, cheated, and tried to wreck us all. But I bit my tongue. Again. Instead, I told him this: "Your mom and I don't agree on some things, but what matters is that you and your sister are safe, loved, and taken care of, no matter what." I could tell he didn't believe all of it. Kids aren't dumb. They sense tension, even when you hide it behind forced smiles and split holidays. Rachel, of course, wasn't helping. She had started talking to the kids like I was the villain. I knew because they started repeating little phrases she fed them. Stuff like "Daddy doesn't like mommy anymore," or "Mommy said you were mean to her." Subtle poison, whispered during drop offs and phone calls. So I documented everything, every interaction, every passive aggressive message, every time the kids came home confused or scared, because I knew sooner or later this was going to come up in court, and this time I wouldn't be caught off guard. I thought the worst of it was over, but I hadn't seen Rachel in full battle mode yet. Once she realized I was serious about fighting for primary custody and that I had documentation, witnesses, and a lawyer who wasn't messing around, she went nuclear. She filed a counter motion. In it, she accused me of being emotionally abusive, cold, and financially manipulative. Claimed I was trying to control her by weaponizing the kids, and get this, she even said I was trying to ruin her life because I couldn't handle rejection. None of it was true, not even close. The only thing I was guilty of was trusting her for too long and not seeing the affair sooner. We had a court date set within 2 weeks. Leading up to it, she posted cryptic crap online like, "Some people wear masks so long they forget who they are underneath." And "Truth always comes out, be ready." She was trying to paint herself as a victim, not just to the judge, but to everyone, her friends, her coworkers, even our mutual acquaintances. And honestly, some of them bought it. People who knew us for years suddenly went quiet or stopped responding. It's amazing how fast people disappear when things get uncomfortable. Then came the court date. She showed up all dolled up again, hair perfect, fake smile, crocodile tears at the ready. Jason wasn't with her anymore, big surprise, but her mom came for emotional support. A woman who also never liked me, by the way, probably because I didn't let Rachel walk all over me the way she walked all over her own family. The judge didn't care about Instagram posts or emotional performances. He cared about facts, and I had them. Logs of when she left the kids with strangers while she went on her solo drives. Texts where she admitted to cheating. A voicemail she accidentally left me where she called our daughter a brat because she asked about me. And screenshots of her dragging me to our kids, saying I was brainwashing them. When my lawyer was done presenting, you could feel the air leave her lungs. She looked shocked, like she had really thought she could waltz into court, cry a little, and walk out with a win. The judge didn't issue a final decision that day, but he reinstated my full custody for another 90 days while he reviewed the psychological impact of parental alienation. In other words, she screwed herself by trying to make me the bad guy. And the best part, I didn't have to lie, exaggerate, or sink to her level. All I had to do was show the truth. I should have known Rachel wouldn't go down quietly. Just a week after the courtroom blowout, she pulled her most desperate move yet, and it nearly worked. I got a call from someone, anonymous of course, had submitted a report claiming that I was emotionally neglecting the kids, that I yelled at them constantly, left them alone for hours, and even spanked them out of anger. All lies, all disgusting, manipulative garbage. But it triggered an investigation. I had to sit in a conference room and answer personal, humiliating questions. My kids were interviewed separately. My home was inspected, my parenting scrutinized like I was some kind of monster. You know what the CPS worker said when she left? Honestly, this all looks like retaliation, but we have to go through the process. Rachel denied making the call, of course. When I confronted her, calmly, her face twisted into something I can only describe as demonic. Oh, so now you think I'm trying to ruin you? Grow up. This isn't about you. Maybe the kids did say something that made someone concerned. You ever think of that? I knew it was her. She was unraveling and getting reckless. And worst of all, she was using our kids like weapons. Again, that night I had to explain to my son, who was shaking, why some stranger came to ask him if daddy ever hit him. He said, "Did I do something wrong?" And my heart shattered. I kept it together. I told him no, he did nothing wrong, that sometimes adults make bad decisions when they're hurting, and that he was safe with me. Always. Luckily, the case was closed within a week. Unfounded, unsubstantiated, officially dead. I documented everything, sent it straight to my lawyer. The judge was notified too. At that point, even the system started seeing what kind of person Rachel really was. She burned every last bridge, lit the whole thing on fire, and then tried to blame the smoke on me. But I had the truth. I had the proof. And most importantly, I had my kids, scared, confused, but still with me. She may have gotten the last lie, but it was also her final nail in the coffin. 3 weeks after the CPS stunt, we were back in court. Rachel walked in with that same fake smile, but you could see the cracks. Her eyes were tired, her voice trembled when she spoke, and for once, she didn't dress like she was auditioning for Best Supporting Victim. She looked like someone who knew she'd already lost, but still hoped for a miracle. The judge didn't waste time. He reviewed everything, the evidence, the CPS report, the school records, the psychological evaluation, which, by the way, made it very clear that Rachel had exposed the kids to emotional instability and confusion, especially with the introduction of Jason and her weaponization of their trust. Then came the moment I'll never forget. The judge turned to her and said, "Miss Rachel's last name, the court has serious concerns about your judgment, your emotional regulation, and your willingness to place your children's needs above your own personal grievances." She tried to interrupt, but he cut her off. "You used your children as leverage. You introduced unrelated adults into their lives recklessly, and you initiated a false report to CPS, which this court views as an egregious act of parental alienation." Then he turned to me. "Mr. My last name, while no parent is perfect, you've shown consistency, stability, and a clear commitment to the well-being of your children. Final verdict: full legal and physical custody awarded to me. Rachel would get supervised visitation only until she could prove, through counseling and compliance, that she was fit to have unsupervised time again." She gasped like someone had poured ice water down her spine. Then she cried. Real tears this time. But not for the kids, for herself. I didn't smile, I didn't gloat, I just sat still, hands folded in my lap, and let justice finally land where it needed to. After court, she tried to talk to me in the hallway, tried to explain. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I just lost control. She reached out to touch my arm. I stepped back. "You didn't just lose control, Rachel. You lost your soul somewhere along the way, and you took our kids with you when you went looking for it in another man's bed." Then I walked away. That was the last time I spoke to her directly. After the court ruling, life got quieter. Not easier, not yet, but quieter. No more late night yelling matches, no more manipulation, no more walking on eggshells. The storm was finally over, and I was standing in the wreckage trying to figure out how to rebuild. The kids adjusted slowly. My daughter started sleeping through the night again. My son began talking more, asking real questions, opening up about things he'd bottled up for months. They laughed more, ate better, did their homework without the constant tension hanging over their heads like a shadow. I kept our routine steady: mornings with breakfast, school drop offs, weekend hikes, story time at night. I gave them what Rachel couldn't: consistency, safety, a home without chaos. Rachel, she went dark. After the ruling, she stopped calling, barely texted, skipped a couple of her supervised visits early on, citing emotional exhaustion. I didn't respond. That wasn't my battle anymore, but then something unexpected happened. One morning, I found a letter in my mailbox, handwritten, from Rachel. I almost threw it out, but curiosity won. The letter was messy, rambling, half apology, half blame shifting. She said she was going to therapy, that she finally saw how broken she'd become. She admitted to the affair, but said Jason wasn't the cause, just the outlet. She asked if I'd ever forgive her. Not for the marriage, she knew that was over, but as a person, as the mother of my children. I didn't respond. Not because I hated her. Honestly, at that point, I didn't feel hate anymore. Just distance, like she was someone from a past life, someone I once loved who no longer existed. But I took the letter, folded it neatly, and put it away in a drawer. Not for me, for the kids. Maybe someday they'll want to understand what happened, not just the facts, but the why. And they'll ask. And when they do, I'll be ready to tell them. I didn't plan for it. I wasn't looking. After everything I'd been through, the idea of dating and felt impossible, even irresponsible. I told myself I'd focus on the kids, on rebuilding, on healing, and I did. But life has a weird way of handing you peace when you stop chasing chaos. It started small: a conversation with a woman named Elena at my daughter's school. Her son is in my daughter's class. We bumped into each other at pickup, then again at a school event. She laughed at one of my dumb dad jokes, and I laughed back, and for the first time in months, it felt natural. We started talking more, slowly, no pressure, just two single parents who understood how heavy life could be. She never pried, never judged. When I told her a condensed version of what happened with Rachel, she didn't gasp or pity me. She just nodded and said, "Sometimes people break. Sometimes they take others with them, but it doesn't mean you have to stay broken too." We went for coffee, then dinner, then walks. Always with boundaries, always with respect. I never introduced her to the kids as anything other than my friend, and she never tried to be more than that, not yet. She understood, and that meant everything. Meanwhile, the kids continued to flourish. My son joined a soccer team. My daughter started drawing again, real, colorful pictures that looked like joy, not anxiety scribbled in crayon. Their laughter was returning. So was mine. I wasn't healed. I'm not sure I ever will be, completely. But I was finally beginning to live again. Not just survive, live. No more second guessing every conversation. No more pretending I was happy when I was drowning. Just peace. And the quiet possibility that something better might still be out there, waiting. Hey Reddit, it's been a few months since I last updated, and I figured it's finally time to close the chapter on this absolutely insane ride. So here's the final part of my story: the aftermath, the healing, and what life looks like now. The divorce. Finalized. After everything, the cheating, the gaslighting, the courtroom drama, the divorce was finally finalized last month. I got primary custody of the kids, and she gets supervised visitation every other weekend. The court took her unstable behavior, emotional outbursts, and texts she sent me threatening to ruin my life very seriously. It wasn't easy, but I stood my ground. She tried to stall the process with every trick in the book: fake tears, victimhood, claims I was abusive, which the court found zero evidence of. But facts and proof won out. My kids are doing better. They're adjusting. Therapy has helped them a lot, especially my daughter, who had a front row seat to many of her mom's meltdowns. I've done my best to keep things calm, structured, and full of love. I won't lie, some nights I feel like I'm barely holding it together, but they're worth every second of this fight. Therapy helped me too. I didn't realize how much damage she'd done to my self-worth until I started talking to someone. Years of being lied to, emotionally manipulated, and made to feel like I was always the crazy one took a toll on me. Therapy didn't just help me process the betrayal, it helped me rebuild myself. I sleep better. I feel more grounded. I'm not angry all the time anymore. She's still a mess. She's now dating some guy she met on Tinder. She posts nonstop selfies on Facebook with cringy captions like, "Love is real when you let it find you," as if the internet forgot she was caught cheating and screamed at me in court. She tried texting me a few times, "I miss our family. You didn't have to be so cold." And even once, "Can we start over?" Blocked instantly. No contact except through the court approved parenting app. The future? Mine. Now, I'm not interested in revenge anymore. I've got peace, and that's more valuable than anything. I've started hiking again. I've joined a few dad groups in the area. I even have a crush on a woman I met through a friend, but I'm not rushing anything. I'm just breathing again. Final thoughts for anyone going through this: trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Document everything. Screenshots save my case. Don't try to win them back. Win yourself back. Therapy isn't weakness, it's survival. Your kids need stability, not drama. Be their safe place. Thanks to everyone who followed my story, gave support, and offered advice. Reddit strangers became more of a family to me than the person I shared a bed with for 10 years. Time to move on. Time to live.